Nice, I see the profession of piracy is still around. Well, from an economics point of view, that's actually a pretty good sign, huh? Oh, so he's an explorer by profession. Okay, I wonder who is financing this? And they only have one universal currency? I mean, you're basically eliminating exchange rate fees when trading between systems, huh? So banks must hate it.
None shall stand now.
For the United Colonies, I discovered 8 new planets, 9 if you value saying dips higher than who had first boots on the ground. So obviously I look down on others and fill my pockets with credits. But is this economy of Starfield realistic? For this, I invited Jakob Peters, the former economist of the European Space Agency. So let's see what a real space economist says about Starfield's economy.
While everyone else is busy playing politics, we're the ones braving the unknown.
Oh, so he's an explorer by profession. Okay, I wonder who is financing this? I mean, right now, a major downside for deep space exploration is that there's no monetary return on your investment. That is why all our probes are sent by governments and not by private companies. You spend high amounts of money, send something incredibly far away, usually one way. It takes forever to get there, and all you get back is some data. So it's great for science and curiosity, but no one seems to figure out how to monetize it. So if they manage to have found a way to monetize space exploration, that would be amazing.
Everything looks good here. I'll be at my booth if you need me.
Oh, that's a good name for a currency. Credits. All our modern money is basically a credit via the trust in our government, sir. And they only have one universal currency? I mean, you're basically eliminating exchange rate fees when trading between systems, so banks must hate it. Would be interesting, though, to know who's in charge of their monetary policies, like setting the interest rate. Would be funny if the United Colonies could just moon the Free Star Alliance's inflation just because they control the central bank.
Why don't you move over to that big vein we looked at?
From an economic perspective, asteroid mining comes up all the time, huh? People seriously argue it's the long-term justification for going into space. We actually already have companies registered with exactly this goal. They just, they cannot get there yet. Even Jeff Bezos has talked about resource acquisition as a prime reason he invests so much of his own private money into space. The idea is that if you want continuous growth, especially at scale, we will run out of stuff, and space has an abundance of stuff. That said, no one's out there mining asteroids right now. We're still trying to figure out how to reliably get stuff into orbit, not even talking about bringing it back. Right now, Blue Origin sends celebrities to space or tries to build the next NASA moon lander and wants to send like 3,000 communication satellites into low Earth orbit with Amazon's Project Kuiper. But yeah, in the year 2300, this could for sure be a prime industry.
But the metal deposits alone should pay for our own helium. Hell, after this, we'll have enough jump fuel to bounce from one end of the settled systems to the next.
Interesting, so they use helium alone for transportation? So helium-3 isotopes are actually a huge topic right now when talking about the moon. It's relatively abundant on the lunar surface, and countries like the US, China, India, etc. have all hinted that they would love to mine it someday. So the big idea is to use it in nuclear fusion, which, if we ever get it working, could be insanely efficient energy source. Now, here they seem to use it as a primary fuel, which I think is not how we use it today. That said, from an economic perspective, it would be amazing, huh? Helium is the second most abundant element in the universe, so if you somehow build an engine around it, supply is no problem. But I let my engineering colleagues comment on the realism. Okay, so early in the game, you kind of get that one planet, one industry setup that we see also in our future, like a mining outpost. Huh? But a city like this is way beyond. Like, we can compare it to our current plans to establish a permanent base on the moon. And there we have like consultants like PwC put the total value of a lunar economy by 2050 somewhere around $90 to $130 billion. And that's just supporting a permanent base, not a full city with businesses and consumers and whatever. Most of that economic value would come from pretty fundamental things, like transporting people and cargo, or building and maintaining habitats, or generating energy, producing water, and especially setting up communication systems. Like you know, on Earth, everyone can stream 8K into your living room. But for NASA's Artemis 2 moon mission, people complained about the low resolution. Huh? So there's just no infrastructure to support it. So a lot of the early space economy is really about building the backbone. And companies can and will compete and profit there, but mainly to enable basic survival. Transportation alone is still expected to take up more than half of the total cost, even if we get much more efficient by 2050. So when this game shows a functional space city, what it is really implying is that we've solved those problems. Access to space is cheap. Infrastructure is mature. There is enough economic activities to be self-sustaining.
There isn't any treasure? We've been trailing that old Constellation ship for nothing?
What they get absolutely right is that it's not about one specific resource, but it's about volume. If you suddenly have access to a huge amount of any material, it changes entire industries. So take beryllium, for example, what they mine here. It's pretty rare on Earth, but we use it in aerospace and in the mirrors for the James Webb Telescope and satellites, etc. So in a space-based economy, yeah, it would be for sure super valuable. Nice, I see the profession of piracy is still around. Well, from an economics point of view, that's actually a pretty good sign, huh? Right now, our biggest bottleneck in space is simply getting there in the first place. So space technically starts around 100 kilometers above us. So if you look on a map, like what city is 100 kilometers away from you? It's nothing. So we trade across continents way easier than upwards with space, simply because gravity makes the trip insanely expensive. Like back in the space shuttle era, sending 1 kilogram to orbit cost something like $50,000. Now with SpaceX Falcon Heavy, you're closer to like $1,500. It's a massive improvement, but still expensive enough that realistically only governments and billionaires are up there. So whoever is currently in space doesn't need to steal. They're rich. So in this world, you've got regular pirates with their own ships just out there doing crime. That means space access has become insanely cheap. So cheap, it's basically normalized. We've solved one of the biggest economic challenges of the space sector. Well, it's always difficult to quantify a pirate's contribution to the economy because they don't pay taxes. But it's actually a huge win for the local economy, I would say. Except the pirates. Why do I have recoil? Why does my laser... Okay.